Let's get to the Niners. Your assessment of Brock Purdy's performance is?
He was bad for the first 3 quarters until he needed to be great, and he was. And I think that's going to bode them well in this game. I think that bodes them well if they can get to the Super Bowl, and it's certainly going to bode him and them well in his future. He hasn't been in that moment. He was a little bit in the Cleveland game, and he leads them to the field goal and they miss it. But this was hey, if you lose this game, you go home type of feeling. This isn't, well, we'll learn from it and move on. And he was bad. Now, I don't know how much of it was the weather, Rich. I think that certainly plays its part, but more than the missed throws, because that's not who he is. He almost throws the early on pick 6 to Savage. Mm-hmm. And if you watch in that game, there's moments when you go, why didn't you throw that ball? I have clips, me, I'm this weird note taker. You have clips where I sit there and I go, why didn't on the third quarter, 9:27, you didn't take the shot down the field when it was there. I've seen you do that. Third quarter, 8:44, you didn't take the shot with the rail. I've seen you do that. Third quarter, 40 seconds, you don't throw it to McCaffrey when he's wide open. I've seen that. Fourth quarter, 10:38. And so I think that is something that they're talking about, post film, and he's giving them answers. It's hey, did you hesitate a little bit and not want to make a mistake after that pick 6? Again, I have to be fair with the weather conversation and some of the misses, but when they needed him to be great on that final drive, he was. You can't take that from him, and he made some big-time throws. So I do believe that bodes them well.
So, yeah, again, I said, I know you said, hey, this is win or go home time. It's not we'll learn from it. But maybe he did learn from it, because you're right. I mean, in the playoff game last year at home against Seattle, Seattle definitely was in the grill of the 49ers until they started, slipping away, and the Niners survived in somewhat of a rocking chair towards the end of that game. And then, as we all know, the game against Philadelphia, he was knocked out darn near right from jump. So yeah. This is kind of the first time he's going through this crucible, and you could say that he's still growing. He's still a pup, basically. Yeah. And that's I think the issue here is that you had the vet in Jimmy G, right? And now you're going to go through some growing pains that he's not like Big Ben, just right out of the box, and he's going to take you to a championship game, although this is his second year in a row doing that. He's kind of a conundrum in a way, Brock Purdy.
Yeah, and I think, Rich, again, we get to these points, part of our jobs, certainly part of mine, and one that I take a ton of pride on. You get to this point, you're trying to nitpick both players and teams. You're trying to figure out and educate the fan and talk about the game of not only what just happened in that game, but also the foreshadowing aspect of it. One of my pet peeves when I watch a game is too often we as announcers, we go backwards and just explain to everybody what just happened. Mm-hmm. They have eyeballs. So part of the things that I take pride in is trying to foreshadow what might happen or why it might happen. And so, yes, for the 49ers fans, we're nitpicking Brock Purdy here. Of course we are. Just like we do with Josh, and just like we're going to do with Lamar, and just like we're going to do with Jared. That's part of the gig. And, I think Brock has proven over the course of 2 years, he's a really good quarterback. I very rarely, if ever, try to hold who he's playing with or what offense he's playing in against a quarterback. I know you need them. What do you do when you get them? And I think there's two groups of quarterbacks when we're talking about the top 12, Rich, top 15. Hey, when things aren't ideal, either play caller, you lose a guy, we're not completely healthy, we give up 30. Can you carry us? Can you win for us type of thing? And then, hey, when things are really good, when it's ideal, can we go win a championship with you? I think Brock is firmly in that second grouping of, hey, when things are really good, we can go win the whole dang thing with you. And so this is a little bit, I mentioned before when I got into it, I blame Patrick in a good way. I blamed Tom Brady in years past, man. You knew it. If you weren't Tom Brady, it's well, you're not good. You know, it's a little bit of Patrick's fault because Patrick is so ridiculous that if you're not Patrick Mahomes, you stink in many people's eyes.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.